Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our daily fiqh hour. On the hour, as we say, 7 p.m. as it stands at the moment. Inshallah, one of the things that I will share with you today is our schedule over the month of Ramadan, which potentially, not potentially, but has possibly for some of you started this evening, and therefore you may be heading off to Taraweeh in less than an hour's time. But obviously, for us in the UK, that's not the case. Why is it not the case? Because in the UK, Maghrib was only less than an hour ago, so we've been getting notifications coming in over the last sort of 45 minutes, and we've been collating those. And what we're doing now is looking at the external sources, the countries that we have connections with. For the UK, for example, the nearest Muslim country for us is Morocco. So if we struggle to see the moon this evening, which it seems is the case, then we will reach out to Morocco to see if they've got a possibility of sighting. If not, then we will obviously go to 30 days of Sha'ban. And as a consequence, the first Tarawih will be Monday night and Ramadan will be Tuesday morning, or Suhoor will be from Tuesday morning. But let's wait and see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Because Suhaib has been away for a while, I've not seen him unless I've missed him. So we're going to take a question because it is obviously relevant as well to the conversation and the topic of moon sighting. And he says, what is the difference between Itaati Mutla and Ikhtilaf? So Ittihadi Mutla and Ikhtilafi Mutla. So Mutla is referred to as the horizon. Horizon meaning where the hilal is looked at. Whenever you try to sight the hilal, you look at the horizon. And there was a difference of opinion amongst the fuqaha with regards to the sighting of another city. Could that be taken by a city if they themselves did not sight it? Or is it that the city itself has to sight it? So we find, for example, the Hanafi school is of the view that if another city does sight it, then you can take that ruling. And other madhahib, like the Shafi madhab in particular, says, no, you cannot do that. Each city has to cite it itself. Now, this has some erroneously been translated as global sighting. And global sighting is inaccurate, because when we look at sighting, which is sort of, from a city to city, because you have to look at how was news transferred. So, for example, what would happen is somebody would climb a high place, like maybe a mountain top, and they would try to spot the hilal. And if they spotted the hilal, then they would try to inform the people in the city that they've seen it. So they may wave a flag, they may shout at the top of their voice, they may scream, they may, light a fire. They'll try to do something in order to let the city dwellers know that they've seen it, because obviously there was no mobiles in that day that you could phone the person and say, oh, we've seen it. And there was no other form of communication like sending a drone or something. So it was only going to be either one of them would get on a horse and gallop down the hill mountain top and get to the people in the city to let them know, or a fire, or something visual. Then obviously they would try to pass that news on to the neighboring cities. And the neighboring cities, obviously, that would take some time. How fast can a horse ride? A horse can only travel even within 24 hours, maybe 30, 40, 50 miles at max, because obviously it has to rest, right? There is no other way around it. It has to rest. So really what used to be actual, kind of regional, is like, for example, here in the UK, if I sight the moon here in Bradford, and let's just say I don't have the types of modern communication, how do I let somebody in Leicester know that I've seen it? So, for example, let's just say I don't have a car. I don't have any form of transportation. Remember, you've got to go back 1,000 years. What type of transportation existed 1,000 years ago? Horses, carts, carriages. So even if I got onto a fast horse, it would take me probably all night, and maybe even pretty much into the next day, especially if my horse is going to get tired, to be able to reach Leicester, to let people in Leicester know that, oh, I saw the moon in Bradford. How is that even possible now for me to get to the United States of America or get to Africa, Mozambique, or get to Asia and Pakistan? How is that even possible? So what we fail to realize is when a mas'ala has a context, we cannot apply that mas'ala in a different context. If we're going to do qiyas upon things and look at applying masail from the historical scenario, we have to see if that scenario is still as is now. Otherwise, you're going to end up in this kind of ridiculous situation, because sometimes what happens is we cite the moon in California, because obviously the moon is getting older. And some people cite it in California. Does that mean now that here in the UK that we have to wait for, wait till literally 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning to see if they spot it in California? Or do we just not make Taraweeh that night? So you see, there's so many issues and concerns with that. So therefore, when we talk about Mutla or Matla, we're actually in reference to, localized, not global sighting. Sheikh, can we celebrate Eid on second day or pray namaz? If obviously you have missed your Eid Salah on the first day, then yes, you may do so. As I said, today predominantly we were going to go through the situation, or the what was it, the schedule rather. So let me just pick up my schedule. So inshallah, if you are in Bradford, then you are either lucky or unlucky, because in Bradford, I will obviously, it's my home city. So for the first 20 days, I will obviously be in Bradford. And therefore, on Wednesdays and Fridays after Asr, so you need to check with that Masjid Bilal. You can Google it and find its timetable. I will be leading the talks at Masjid Bilal on Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay. On Sundays, I will be at Masjid al-Hidayah. Now, if you're on our channels, if you're on our social media, you would have all this information. The fiqh hour, inshallah, will be at 7 p.m. Fast here in the UK, in Bradford anyway, we'll be breaking about sort of quarter past 6, something around that region. So there's still enough time then for do that, because then obviously Taraweeh are about an hour later, so there's no chance of making it any later. So it's going to be a little bit quick, but it will be after an hour after Maghrib. Again, I will see how much interest there is there as to whether I continue on a daily basis or I just restrict it to maybe odd days whenever I get chance. For the last 10 days, inshallah, I will be in I'tikaf and I will be traveling down to London. So if you are in London, you can pop by there. The details are in Masjid Umar and on Walthamstow. And there I will have Quran tafsir after Fajr. The fiqh hour will be before Asr. And then there will be a contemporary lecture after Asr, inshallah. So that's the plan. So you know the fiqh hours. Again, I would join one of our channels. I've put the Telegram channel several times up on the social media. But if you go to the description of this channel or the description of this video, you will get those details. At 7:30, I will be taking a call, because that's when we get onto our shura in order to discuss any sightings that have come locally. And also, if you have been with me for the last 2 months, you would have known that I normally the shura get together in order to take in any information that has come locally. And once we've taken that information any locally, then obviously we look at our regional partners to see if they've cited it, and we make a declaration as to whether Ramadan starts tonight or whether we are going to count 30 days of Sha'ban. Okay, so if we've got about 10-15 minutes, inshallah. So if there's any questions, please fire questions. It'd be useful if you fire questions around the starting of the month of Ramadan, things like that, because at least then it's kind of relevant to the topic. rather than going off at a tangent. There'll be plenty of time, inshallah, to go off at a tangent later on. Throughout the month, because we will have FiqHour throughout the month. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Maulana, alhamdulillah, all is good. Barakallah fiqh. Wa alaikum assalam. What are the conditions for someone's testimony to be deemed reliable? Well, the testimony seems deemed to be reliable is based on the individuals that are making the testimony. However, the Qadi is not obliged to accept just the testimony of the individuals. The Qadi is also required to look at other factors in order to make his decision. The witness statement is one aspect of the evidence. It is not the only evidence. Therefore, the Qazi has to take into, so for example, in implication to the moon sighting, the Qadi has to look at, what were the conditions like, how many people were present, how many people saw it, how many people didn't see it. Similarly, what was the probability or the possibility of it being seen? What about any neighboring countries? And take all this evidence into consideration rather than just solely think that the witness statements is going to be absolutely accurate. Otherwise, the witness, he will judge on face value unless there is something that he knows about the witness, that he's somebody who makes false statements or something like that. In a town, all the masajid follow the Saudi moon sighting criteria. However, a person personally follows the FiqHour QnA criteria. If Ramadan starts earlier, according to the Saudi's criteria, would it be permissible for that person to join the Tarawih Salah of the masjid so as not to miss the first portion of the Quran reciting the? Yeah, absolutely, he may do so. There is nothing wrong with that. He's joining the Tarawih. He doesn't necessarily believe that Ramadan has started, but he wants to join a Nafil prayer. Then he can join that Nafil prayer to recite it, to hear the Quran. There will be no harm in that. I'm just going to ask my colleagues whether we're going to still go ahead with this. The Witr prayer with Jamaat, obviously we say that Witr is only permissible in Ramadan bil Jamaat. However, as there is a Jamaat taking place, and according to some it is Ramadan, then he may partake in that. There will be no harm if he partakes in that. What's the reason behind Witr being read in congregation only during Ramadan? And was this a practice of the Prophet or Sahaba? That's a good question. It's a good question, which I'm going to make a note of because the answer isn't springing to mind. So let me just make a note of that. Witr in Jamaat evidence. Yeah. Let me see if I can find something on that, inshallah, for you tomorrow, inshallah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Iman, how are you doing? I saw that you had the first taste of doing some khidmah, mashallah. Allah accept. So all our details have come in from the UK. So all the sighting information that we have up and down the country, that's already come in. We are now just going to, before we obviously have the meeting, is just wait from now our regional partners. During the talk about miracles, you mentioned Allah is the maintainer of the worlds. What is meant by this? What is meant by maintainer of the worlds? Meaning that we don't accept the view that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the worlds and then just let them be. And they are now self-sustaining, or they are just kind of, keeping themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is active in ensuring that the worlds exist and continue to exist. So that's the worlds of the souls, which as yet haven't come to earth. That is the barzakh, that is the dunya, that is the world of the angels, the world of the jinn, all these various abodes, all these various societies, the various habitats that we have, the insects, the animals of prey, the birds, the fish, all these various groups and worlds and domains and habitats that exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a maintainer and nurturer of all of those worlds. If a declaration from Saudi has been affirmative and our local sighting yet to be confirmed proves to be negative, will Monday be the day of doubt and one may fast it as a purely a nafil? No, because the day of doubt, Yom Shak, is the one that we're not supposed to fast on. So if it is Yom Shak, we're not supposed to fast on that, Maulana. So if you look under Yom Shak, in fact, if you have access to Wifaq al-Ulama's Twitter feed, you'll see that they put something out on that today or yesterday. I'm not sure when it was. Jazakallah for Yanse, can we send our zakat to Palestine? Yes, you can send your zakat to Palestine. You can be pretty sure that those people in Palestine are obviously going to be below the nisab. What only thing that needs to be taken into consideration is that I think in the Gaza Strip anyway, because obviously when we speak of Palestine, there's the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. In the Gaza Strip or Gaza Strip, there is a small percentage of non-Muslims, a very small percentage. So one just needs to make sure that if it's zakat that one is sending, that is obviously distributed through an Islamic charity, a Muslim charity, that has a good understanding of the Sharia in its application to ensure that your zakat reaches to the Muslims, because only a Muslim can receive zakat. There are other alternative ways to add maybe 2-3% or maximum 5% sadaqah on top of your zakat. So if you're going to send £100 zakat, add £5 lillah or sadaqah on top, and then you know inshallah that your zakat is paid in full and it is covered and you've got no concerns there. So we have got some text from our external party. We normally do get a letter-headed statement, but because obviously it's Ramadan, we might go suffice with this. But let's see, inshallah. And then in 6 minutes, I'll have to jump. You can still watch, inshallah, but I'll have to go on to have a meeting. multitasking, but you can feel free to ask questions. Again, preferably around the start of Ramadan, preferably, so at least we can remain focused on that, inshallah. See, this is when people get a little bit itchy. The reason why they get a little bit itchy is because everybody's already found out, those people who follow Saudi's position, or those committees that follow Saudi's position, because really, as Joe Public, we can't follow Saudi's position or Morocco's position or anybody's position. As Joe Public, you're supposed to follow a moon sighting committee in your country. So you have to adhere to a moon sighting committee. You cannot, as an individual, just choose to follow wherever you like. So people are obviously watching news, following Twitter, and they're finding out about sort of 5 o'clock, 4:30, that, oh, the Saudis have declared it. So that means it's ours as well. So now we've become, literally connected with Saudi in such a state that as soon as it's like we're another province of Saudi Arabia, which obviously we're not. We're an independent sovereign country which has its own ulama board. But it's just the mentality of people now, isn't it? So there'll be a lot of itchy feet because people will be thinking, well, they already know, they're making preparations for Taraweeh. We don't even know yet if it's going to be Ramadan or not. What's going on? And people get a little bit impatient. But obviously, we do need to follow protocols and due diligence. Am I correct in understanding that Sadakat al-Fitr can be given to non-Muslims? No, that is not correct in your understanding. Zakat al-Fitr can only be given to Muslims. Instagram people are quiet, mashallah. Just watching. So we're supposed to go on the call in 3 minutes. Well, obviously, I'm getting messages, which you can see me responding back to them, where we have got some information, but that information hasn't come through on the standard letterhead. This does happen during Ramadan because everybody's like, running everywhere. It looks like an official statement, but it's not on the official letterhead that we normally get it on. So I'm now consulting with the Shura as to whether we agree that it's sufficient for now to make that decision because people are waiting, or do we sit tight and wait for the official document to arrive before we make that decision? So that's what's going on now. It's just so that you can see that it's transparent. There's nothing going on behind the scenes. You can see exactly what's going on, what we're up to, what information we're getting. So now we're getting it verified from 2 or 3 other sources. We still don't have the actual letterhead from the Wazaratul Awqaf, which is the Ministry of Endowments, who make the announcement on behalf of the Moroccan government. So we're getting confirmation from a member of the ministry, and they're preparing the facts document as we speak. So which means we can go ahead with our meeting, which was scheduled at 7:30. And I put a here sign. There we are. So I'm going to stop the TikTok thing. I'll keep the other feeds going.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait and you will be joined into the conference. Please announce yourself.
Amjad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Hazrat. We still got our live feed going through, but obviously they can't hear you, they can only hear me. Gigi. जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल जी हाँ हाँ जी हाँ बिल्कुल सही so anything from local, everything negative from local isn't there, so from what I've been saying, nothing at all coming from local. And our regional partner Morocco, G, that's right. Okay, so that's fine. So we have received a call from the ministry, and the paperwork will take another half an hour, but obviously because of in London in particular, Isha time is taking place now, so we need to make a decision. So G, G, yep, take it. So no positive sighting. So we do 30th of Shaban then. Yeah, we complete 30 days of Shaban. Take it. And inshallah then Ramadan will start on Monday, inshallah. Monday night. Take it. Okay. और कुछ हो गया ठीक है नो प्रॉब्लम ओके ठीक है सलाम सलाम जी मंगल हाँ जी सलाम. Yeah, so obviously in London, it's a lot earlier for Isha, and what they'll be doing is that Jamaats are full now for Isha Salah, so they need to get an answer quite quickly. So it does take another 25 minutes or so, 25 minutes for the paperwork to come through, even though we spoke to somebody from the ministry who was told us that, yes, the decision has been made. The sunset was about half an hour or so ago, maybe a little bit longer than half an hour ago in Morocco, and they've not seen anything at all. So therefore, they made a negative statement, which means that we complete 30 days of Shaban. And once 30 days of Shaban are completed, then the Monday evening, because the evening comes before the day. The evening will be the first of Ramadan, so the first Taraweeh will be on Monday evening, and the first fast will obviously be on Tuesday, inshallah. So that's so we've sped the process up. Obviously, when you were in the first two, when we did Sha'ban and the month before, then you would have found that we had a little bit more time. There wasn't that much pressure on us, but with these 2 months, we have to be quite quick in our statement. Okay, and that's it. Decision gets made now. If you follow Wifaq Ulama on social media, you'll see now the announcement being made, the declaration being made, the calendars will now be shared, and that process goes. So this is important to have that transparency. So if you're following Saudi, for example, or anybody else for that matter, how have you, in which way have you been engaging with your ulama? How have you got the information from your ulama? And how are they getting the information apart from watching it on TV or getting it from social media? That's obviously not the way we should be doing something as important as our fast and our Eid. Anyway, let me pick up these last few questions. Would it not be better for unity that we accept KSA citing? Unity should be on what is correct rather than not. And I don't think there ever will be unity because there will always be within our community people who will not move to that position because of the fact that they've always been, say, on Morocco. Because when we first arrived on these shores, everybody was on Morocco. It was only that little fax saga that I mentioned a while back that changed things. Alhamdulillah. Yes, absolutely, mashallah. Is there any evidence for completing the Quran in one night? That in Jamaat too? Not that I have come across. What is their Instagram handle? I don't know if they have an Instagram handle, Iman, but I know they have a Twitter account. So you just find Wifaq Ulama. They might have Instagram, I'm not sure. But if I do know that they have Twitter. So if you go to the Twitter, Wifaq Ulama, I'm not sure if it's UK or anything like that. It might just be Wifaq Ulama. Let me just check. Yeah, it's just Wifaq Ulama. Okay, and you'll find it on there, inshallah. Okay, so we still have a little bit of time, and obviously nobody's preparing for their. Let me just send these because obviously people will be. I can't send that. Let me just send it from here if you don't mind. And again, if you have my number saved and you do check my status, you'll see that I put the calendar and things like that on there. Oh, they do. They do have it. We Fakulama does have Instagram. I've just checked. Because on our social media group, one of the chaps has said Instagram is done. So again, I would just search Wifaq Ulama, and I guess you'll find it on there. Okay, that's that. Those duties done. Has been shared. Has gone around. That's that done. I know the RG group provides support to businesses, but do you also provide individual support, or what service offer to individuals, if any? If you reach out to Umar, who is there on the chat, then Umar will be able to help you, inshallah, depending on what you have in mind. And if you speak to Umar, if in the show, if you do not know how to get hold of Umar, then just text me. You've got my number now. Message me, and I will connect you, inshallah, and then you can have a conversation with him, because we do have RG advisory, which is more individual focused, whereas RG group is more, kind of governments and NGOs and large corporates, whereas obviously SMEs and sole partner, sole companies, we do support them through RG advisory. I don't know about all. Okay, this is not like to be shared publicly with everybody, man. This is just the select, elect few that have that number. Alhamdulillah. Okay, last few minutes of questions. So tomorrow, obviously, it will be FiqHour will be at 7 o'clock, and I've already shared with you. Barakallah feek, man. And I've already shared with you in terms of my schedule over Ramadan. As I said, please do join the channels, do join the social media, because things will be quite quick. And to catch up with things, it will be quite a busy and active Ramadan, as it always is, alhamdulillah. And therefore, you don't want to miss out on it. If you have started Ramadan, or you are starting Ramadan, then, what's done is done now. Your focus has to be now for the ibadah. The moon sighting conversations and discussions and debates are done now. Educate yourself, or should have educated yourself before this Ramadan. Now educate yourself after Ramadan for Eid al-Adha. But for now, if Ramadan has started for you, then head down, focus. Your ibadat is very important. Your acts of worship, making sure that you're a better version of yourself comes out at the end of Ramadan compared to what went into Ramadan. And make sure you know more about your religion and about, how to practice it, and what you can do, and any service you can do. There are so many opportunities to do service of deen, which is going to be your sadaqah jariyah. I've mentioned time and time again. It doesn't hurt, whilst I'm remembering now, to mention it one more time. And that is, I will share this with you whenever I find it, wherever it is. I think it's this. Is it this? Yes. So I'll share this with you. Come on. And this is, we've seen, mashallah, Iman, Allah bless him, is now a volunteer with us, helping us in our work on the social media side of things. So, he signed up to be a volunteer by filling out this sheet here, and now he's joined the team, and he's now playing his part. So he's going to get reward for that. Similarly, the rest of you can join in some capacity. Someone asked me a question asking, how did Adam al-Islam and Hawa al-Islam grow the population? Population growing is very quick, it's exponential. If you look at population growth, it is remarkably fast. So it's not impossible. Even if you look over the last 100 years, like I think is it like it doubled or something, the population of the earth in a space of a short space of time? I can't remember what it was. They were saying it wasn't incest haram. No, because at that time, you see, the way it used to work was that when Hawa alayhi salatu wasalam was carrying child, then she would always give birth to twins. And those that were in her womb at that in that pregnancy were considered as brothers and sisters. But those that were born from a pregnancy before or a pregnancy after were not considered as brothers and sisters. So the Sharia changes. We know, for example, in the Sharia of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, you could bow in order to show respect, whereas in the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ, you cannot bow. So the Sharia does change, so there's nothing wrong with that, because obviously, like you correctly say, how can it be possible if there's only Adam alayhi and Hawa alayhi that started things off? Assalamu alaikum. People who live in Holland, can they follow UK ruling on moon sighting, as it is close to Holland here? The moon was not sighted. Absolutely, yes. It makes more sense to follow UK than it does to follow any other country for that matter. And I can personally tell you that we have alhamdulillah, a fail-safe system here in the UK, which is thoroughly assessed, thoroughly checked, transparent for everyone to see. There's no mirrors and smoke screens and anything hidden. It's clear. You can even go on to wifaqululama.co.uk, I think it is, in order to see the criteria and the methodology. So it's all there. Absolutely you can. And I think you should start encouraging, because I know there's not much activity in Holland or Netherlands or whatever you call it. They seem to be pretty placid there. I know I've been invited by Arnold several times to set up base in the Netherlands, so that we could make a positive change in that country. But I just like the UK too much, alhamdulillah. So, and how long could I stay in the Netherlands? There'd have to be nice weather to attract me to leave the UK, not for weather which is exactly the same. It would just be a bit of a pointless move. So yeah, absolutely, it would make sense to do that. People who are fasting are following Saudi. Well, yeah, they won't necessarily be fasting right now, but yeah, as in fasting tomorrow, they will be, because they don't have an alternative, so they go with that. But really, there should be an alternative. Either the people in the Netherlands should start their own sighting system, and I've offered my support in that so many times, and I'm sure one of my colleagues did travel across there as well, if I'm not mistaken, a few years back, before COVID, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know. That rings a bell. So yeah, absolutely makes sense on that regard. Yeah, Twitter really wakes up, doesn't it, in Ramadan, mashallah. Everybody's okay. It seems we have satisfied your appetite for this evening, and I would suggest satisfying your appetites as well for before Ramadan starts. And it's a perfect time as well if you've got those extra couple of inches around the waist that you need to get rid of. It's cutting season. Not only is it cutting season of that extra inch or so across the waist, but it's also cutting season of any sins that you may have amassed since the last Ramadan. Because it's a cleansing process, it's a purification process, it's a time to get a better version of yourself. So, as I've mentioned, make a plan, make a timetable, have a schedule. I already worked on my schedule. It took me two weeks, really, over 2 weeks. I was working on my schedule. So, if you're not planned, then you're going to fail in life. So plan your Ramadan. The only people I know that have succeeded in life, whether it's dini work or dunyawi work, is those who plan and strategize, and they get the best out of it. Those who just kind of hope for coincidences or chances, or always relying on opportunities, they never succeed, because that's not how things work. You have to plan, you have to take the steps and move forward. And as I said, with the volunteers, make some time, inshallah. We've got a lot of projects on there. Orphan support, whether it's orphan support in Malaysia, whether it's orphan support there. Similarly, we've got and also we're working on building a hospital as well. So there you can set your own link up and share it with family and friends. As I said, I take a direct responsibility in that area, so that's there. Similarly, if you want to give your zakat in the UK, then there is Wifaq al-Ulama that has its own charity as well. So Wifaq al-Ulama, we also distribute zakat, so you can give it there, or you can give it to the National Zakat Foundation as well, which also distributes zakat. And I'm involved more so in Wifaq al-Ulama, and also I'm the Sharia chap for NZF. So there's so many opportunities for you. So many places to do good work, so many things. So you cannot say, oh, I don't, there are no opportunities. There are opportunities. There's opportunities to learn. You can continue to come onto the FiqH Hour. You can watch videos that are already here on this channel. So there's opportunities for you to learn. There's opportunities for you to sit in the company of ulama. If you're in Yorkshire, alhamdulillah, come to any of the masjids that I'm at. Not only that, there's numerous ulama that will be running programs after Asr in masajids. Go to your local masjid. And if you're in London, alhamdulillah, I'll be there, inshallah, for 9-10 days. So do pop in, and at least then you can take some khair from the Londoners, as they say. And if it's your zakat that you need to be concerned about, then you've got the charity there that I've just mentioned, Olive Lantern Trust. You've also got Wifaq al-Ulama charity for local, as in UK. You've also got NZF for UK. So again, there's opportunities there. You want to volunteer with helping on social media. We always need the help. Again, fill in those details. Tell us what you can do. and inshallah jump on this bandwagon. Maybe this Ramadan is your last Ramadan. This, the last Ramadan that we've just passed was my mother's last Ramadan, and she's not here this Ramadan. So that just shows no one can take anything for granted, that they could be around this time next year and say, oh, well, you know what, I'll put it off till next year. I know I was going to learn about A, but I'll put it off to next year. I know I was going to learn about B, but I'll put it off to next year. I know I'm going to learn about C, but I'll put it off to next year. Don't put anything off to next year. This could be your last year. What dates are you in London? It's on the poster, Iman. Last 10 days of Ramadan, which I think is around the 1st of April. But it's on the poster. It's on the, in fact, it's on the poster you shared, if I'm not mistaken. Clearly, you didn't read it. If there's any people that you've, upset or offended or disrespected or sinned against, then this is the time to go back and amend those affairs. Okay, it's a time to go back and amend those affairs, because breaking with Allah, you got a chance to make ruju, you got a chance to make tawbah, you got a chance to reconnect. However, when you break with a human, then because all we think about is, oh, my relationship is with Allah. Yes, your relationship with Allah, but your relationship with Allah is what we call a vertical relationship. You also have a horizontal relationship, and your horizontal relationship is with your fellow humans. And Allah is Ghafoor, He is Rahim, but next man might not be Ghafoor, and next man might not be Rahim. So therefore, you need to make sure as we enter into Ramadan that if you're carrying some gripe, if you're carrying some, you've caused some harm to somebody, then it's the time to seek their forgiveness if you've caused some harm to somebody. And if you have harmed somebody, then go. Don't wait around. Go seek that person's forgiveness. If it's awkward, text them, whatever, but at least clean your slate to the best of your ability, so that if you do traverse through these next few days and weeks, Allahu A'lam where your situation goes. Salam Sheikh, where are you reading Taraweeh? Well, that's it's a bit of it might be down to Darul Mahmood, it might be down to Masjid Namira. It really depends. Because my fiqh hour or the fiqh hour is going to be at 7 p.m. So we're going to break fast about 6:15. And then obviously, so even if I eat for 20 minutes, half an hour, then I'm going to jump onto the fiqh hour. If it finishes at 7:30, 7:45, my Isha time starts at about 8. So I'll need to go to a masjid which is at 8 p.m. And I know Darul Mahmood is at 8 p.m. Masjid Namira, I think, is at 8 p.m. as well. But it just depends how fast I can get from here to that masjid. So yeah, and then obviously last 10 days, I will be in London. And so I will be there, inshallah, for Itikaf. Again, if you've not had chance to perform Itikaf, especially men folk, you're always moaning about your wives that you need to get away for a while. Well, 10 days, that's your golden ticket. 10 days and, reconnect. Many of us have spent our whole life just wandering blindly, not really knowing what we're about, who we are, and trying to re-identify ourselves, especially when we kind of hit, the 40s and 50s. We're trying to see who we are. Who am I? Am I so-and-so's father? Am I so-and-so's husband? Am I so-and-so's wife? Am I so-and-so's child? But as you get to this age, you've got to try to find out who you are. You cannot get a better chance than just spending 10 days in the company of Allah and in the company of the pious. It's a very rare opportunity. So take that opportunity. As I said, don't let Ramadan come and go without you taking benefit of it. You're a fool if you don't take benefit of it. Honestly, you will look back and you're an absolute fool. The hadith which you see at the top of the poster goes quite further and says that person is cursed. That person, when Ramadan comes and he doesn't get forgiven. So these are important things to bear in mind. Now, obviously, these are little reminders. I'll share some more reminders with you tomorrow. We will start, obviously, whilst I'm here now. Let me do the little blurb that I have to do for the next fiqh hour. So the next fiqh hour, we're going to speak about nawafil, the different types of nawafil. Especially now with Ramadan coming, we need to push a little bit more on the nawafil. Obviously, we're going to push a little bit on our qadars as well, because now is the time to kind of clock those qadars. There's no distractions. You don't need to eat. The wife doesn't need to cook. You don't need to cook. You got no need to go to the toilet because you've not eaten. There's a lot of time which was already used up, which now is no longer going to be used up. So you're going to have some free time. So if you've got that free time, now clock those qazas, go through them like water, Start getting your nawafil. Yani, are you praying Salatul Duha? Are you praying your awabin? Are you praying your tahajjud? You know, are you doing some qiyamul layl? Because now, mashallah, iftar is at 6 o'clock. It's not like, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So you got plenty of the night. Even for me, suhoor, I think, is about 4:30. For some of you, might even be later than that. So, the night is young. Even if you went to sleep at, say, 10, 11 o'clock, and you could get up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, pray. And I think the Easter holidays aren't too far away. I think the last 2 weeks of Ramadan are Easter holidays, if I'm not mistaken. So the kids are off school as well. So you got no reason to go in there. A couple of bank holidays are there as well. So, some people plan their holidays around going away. Some people plan their holidays around, decorating their house. Some people plan their holidays around whatever. Why don't you plan our holidays around those last 10 days? So we can take true benefit. And, when you are a different person, the whole world is new because your outlook has changed. The way you engage with the world is changed. So anyway, those are my parting pieces of words of advice as we now potentially enter those blessed days. We know tonight is the 30th of Sha'ban. Tomorrow is the 30th of Sha'ban. Inshallah, after Maghrib, Monday night, Ramadan would have started here in the UK. Obviously, for those who are borrowing news from Saudi Arabia and not going by the UK, even though we are UK residents, and not going by the local regional Muslim country, in the absence of our own country, for them, it's already started. You should be on your way to Tarawih. What are you doing listening to me? Anyway, on that note, wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.